Mesachta Shvuis, Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. We're starting from Beis Amud Beis, where it says Gemara. So the Gemara is now going to ask on the order of the Mesachtas. Why does this Mesachta of Shvuis come after Makos? Okay. Mechdi, Daf Beis Amud Beis, 2 lines on the bottom. Right here from the so Gemara Zak Mechdim Lama Kukton Tano Mimakis Sali. We finished with Masechta Makis. My standard Tana Shvuis. Why did we learn Masechta Shvuis? This Masechta after Makis. No, what's the connection? Zak Gemara Mishum Daf Gimel Amud Aleph Beis Amud Beis, where it says Gemara, because that's the seder of the Masechtas. So he says like this. So why do we learn Makis? Why do we learn Shvuis after Makis? Says Gemara Mishum the Tani, since the Tana at the end of Masechta Makis said Chayiv al Haroi Shtayim Mikan Achs Mikan Achs Mikan. We learned about in the area that the skull connects to the cheek, and in the area that the skull connects to the cheek, that area you're not allowed to shave. So over here you're not allowed to shave where the payas is. So if he shaves on one on this side, one on that side. No, the is afil on hamesa. The bud is dafke mit hamesa. Here it's even without a razor, it's usher. Over here, dafke with a razor. Anyway, so that's what we learned in Masechta Makis. But the Peil Mamish, what did we learn over there? If he did both, he got one warning and he did both, he's going to buy a chayiv for each and every one a Makis. So it's achas, shu shtayim. And on the zakin, shtayim mekan or shtayim mekan. Let's say he cut off the whole beard. So there's one here, there's 2 on each side, plus the chin. So if he did it all in one, with one hasra, so then you have achas mishum chamesh. So and this Mishnah that we learned yesterday is talking about shtayim shein abba. We went through a whole bunch of cases of 2 which are 4 yesterday, and here he's showing you, and we finished off with Makis, also talking about 1 asra, you'll be chayv 2, or 1 asra, you'll be chayv 5. So he says, on the zakin you have 2 on each side of the cheek, and which is 4, and then you have 1 in the middle. Achas melamata. Because you have here 1 and here 1. That's part of the beard. Yeah. And then where the jaws join, and in the center is a 5th one. So and it's 1 asar. So you see, chaded mechayv alot tarte. One beard, 1 asar. So one is chayv because of two by the payas over here. If he did both sides with 1 warning, and 1 by a beard, 1 warning. If he cut off the whole beard with 1 warning, 5. 1 will be chayv. Tana shvush na'im ashein abba. That's why he started the Mishnah also about 2 which are 4. So Gemara Maishna hoch the Tana lehu kulu. Maishna gabi tzisa Shavous umaris negar b'leik Tana lehu kulu. Why over here in our Mishnah when he starts off Shvuis Shtayim shein abba, so he gives more cases Yediyas Hatuma Shtayim shein abba Maris negoyim Shtayim shein abba. When you go to Masechta Shabbos, it says Yitzis Shabbos Shtayim shein abba, and that's it. He doesn't talk about Maris negoyim Shtayim shein abba Yediyas Hatuma. Why over here, Dafke by Shvuis, you brought down all the cases of Shtayim shein abba? What's the you found? Why Dafke here by Masechta Shvuis? Why not by Yitzis Shabbos? Right, the first Mishnah. You started off with Shtayim shein abba, Yediyas Hatuma Shtayim shein abba Maris negoyim. Why Dafke here? You brought a whole bunch of cases of Shtayim shein abba, and when it came to Yitzis Shabbos, you look at the Yitzis Shabbos, Shtayim shein abba, and that's it. He talks about Bifnim, Bachutz. Okay. Sagt die Gemara, Amri Shvuis v'Yediyas Hatuma degabe hadari k'sudim. The reason why he brought down by Shvuis another case of Shtayim shein abba, Yediyas Hatuma, because Yediyas Hatuma and Shvuis were right in the same pasuk. V'damyon hadadi, and they're also similar to each other. That you are over b'shayek, you're going to be chai b'kab ma'il v'yedet. What is a kab ma'il v'yedet? A kab ma'il v'yedet is for a gevir. He brings a shepsela. Somebody who doesn't have that much money, he brings birds. That was gur. It was real poor. He brings a mincha.
So why is it called Leila V'Yedet?
V'Yedet, according to how you're well. Like a guy like you brings a kevis.
I understand.
Okay.
How do you measure wealth here?
Okay, I don't know. Okay, so the Gemara
You put him on the scale.
says the Gemara, once you already learned over here,
You put
Shvuy
him on the scale, see how heavy it is.
so once you already learned Shvuy Shtaim Shtein Abba and Yedis Atum Shtaim Shtein Abba because they're in the same pasuk, so you're already learning other cases. I'm saying, since you already learned these two cases, that's why you learned the rest. So once you're already bringing already other cases, so he brought all of them. Sagt die Gemara Pasach b'Shvuis u'mefarish Yedis Atuma. You started off with saying Shvuy Shtaim Shtein Abba. You don't talk about it. Right away you talk about the whole Indian way is Yedis Atuma, about Tuma. For the next two prakim, it's only Yedis Atuma. The third pedic is going to talk about Shvuis. What's Yishan? If you're talking about Shvuis, talk about Shvuis. What are you jumping to Tuma? And the Gemara Eided is unto Milayil. Since the very few dinim, when it comes to the Tuma, it's only two prakim. Pasik Shariluhu. He says, let me finish up with this. Let me up pattern with them. That he actually used the lashon up pattern. Let me get up pattern with these few dinim. The had ton of shvuis and the fish milay, and then we'll go back to shvuis. Over there, there's 6 prakim. Okay, we'll start a little later, but let's get rid of the tuma, which only talks about a few dinim. It's a small hefsek anyway, so we'll make a little hefsek and we'll go back to shvuis. Zakti, we learned that the Mishnah shvuis, meaning shvuis abitun shtaim shtein abba shtaim she'oichal v'she'lo yoichal. Yesterday we learned what are the two which are 4 by shvuis. There's the future. He swears, I'm going to eat, then he doesn't eat. Or he swears, I'm not going to eat, and he eats. That's the future. That's what's written befedish in the Torah. Shein Abba, what's the Arba? That's going on the past. He says, I had eaten already, and he lied. He really didn't eat. Or he says, I didn't eat, and he really ate.
He made a shvur.
Yeah, he made a shvur, but that's on the past. On the past, the Torah doesn't say befedish about the past. The Torah says, lihara, or lihated, talks about the future. Does not talk about the past. So the shtayim is li'asi. He says oichel and he didn't eat, or he says lo yoichel and he ate, and we're adding another 2, which is not written the finish in the Torah, which is achalti. I had eaten in the past, and he didn't. Well, lo yachalti. That's called shvur sheker. The past is a shvur sheker. The future is a shvur speaker. It doesn't mean you're lying. I'm going to eat. You might eat.
That could be a year or 2
It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you're lying. Okay, it's not a shvur sheker. It's called shvur bitu. So we learned in the Mishnah, what does it mean? Shtayim Yedis Tumas Kodesh, Yedis Tumas Mikdash. What does that mean? That the guy had he had an awareness of his tumah, and then he had his moments. I don't know what they call that. Moments that you forget. They call the senior moments. Yeah. Oh, God forbid. Okay, senior moments. He forgot. Okay, he had that moment. He forgot that he forgot that he was tamei, and he went into the Mikdash. And then when he came out, I was tamei. I went into the Mikdash. The same thing with Kachim. He knew he was tamei. Then he had his moment. He forgot that he was tamei, and he ate Kachim. And then he became aware. What's Shehin Abba? That he never forgot he was tamei. What did he forget? That he didn't know that this is the Mikdash. He was unaware about where he entered was the Beis HaMikdash. Or what he ate, he was unaware that was Kachim. That's the Shein Abba.
What did he think it was?
He thought it's Chulin, and he thought he's going into his house when he entered the Beis HaMikdash. Well, look, you had with Rabbi Yoel, he walked out, his wife told him to take out the garbage. He brought it to 770. So Zog Nimar say, here you have the sime thing, it's possible. Zog Nimar, Yitzis HaShabbos Tein Shein Abba, Yitzis HaShabbos. By the way, when we started Masechta Shabbos with Rabbi Yoshbal, he couldn't say a sin Shabbos. So the whole class started to laugh because he said, everything was sin. Geht man lernen the sense the Masechta in ganz Sas. Yitzis Shabbos time. It was the whole time sins. Everybody was blushing. Anyway.
Barras also used to do a sin.
Who?
Barras Goodman.
Oh, I had Rabbi
He wasn't a teacher, he was a male.
Okay. Yitzis HaShabbos Shteim Shein Abba. What are the Shteim Shein Abba? You have Shteim, Hoitzada, Ani, Hoitzada Balabais. You have the case with the Ani standing outside. And he's going to make a Hatzah. How is he going to do a Hatzah? He sticks his hands into the hand inside. He takes it and he brings it outside. Or the balabais gives him something, he brings it outside. What's the Hitzah of the balabais? The balabais stayed in the Veni, in the Shutzayach, and he brings it outside. Those are two cases of Hitzah. That's fine. Shein Abba, what is the tulda? Hachnosis. So what is that? Hachnos the ani. That the ani is standing outside and he brings a chayfetz into the Rishus Hayachid. Over Hachnos the balabais sticks out his hand empty and he takes from where the ani is standing and he brings it back inside. That's Shein Abba. Stein Shein Abba. Because that's al Yitzishim that doesn't talk about Hachnos in the Torah. No, yeah. So the mother had so Shein Abba. So we just said it. Okay, Maris Negoyim. Shnaim Shein Haba. Shnayim says uvaheres. The two are says uvaheres. Shein Abba. Abba says with Hiladata and Baheres with Hiladata. I think says the tulda of says is seed, is line. It's very similar to the color of says. And Baheres, its tulda is the krum from Abeya, the skin that goes around an egg. So that's the tulda of Baheres. So those are the two which are four by Maris Negoyim. In fact, the Mani Masnisi. Whom is the Mishnah following? It says, Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Akiva. It doesn't follow not Rabbi Akiva or Rabbi Yishmael.
What does it say?
Well, why Rabbi Yishmael? If you're going to say how Mishnah follows Rabbi Yishmael, Ha'ama. Rabbi Yishmael said somebody who swears, Shvu is bitul l'shaka ein chayiv el asid lavei. He says the only time he's going to be chayiv for Shvu shaka,
What is the chayim? The chiyuv, what's good for the
Malchus, or let's say Malchus.
So he says something on the
So on the past he says nishtar azazach. On the past, if he said lo yachalti or achalti in the past, that you're not going to be chayiv. You only chayiv for the future.
He's going to eat.
Chayiv Malchus or Kab. Oil of
He
Yedit.
says I'm going to eat.
Huh?
He says I'm
Here
going
we're really talking about Kab Oil of Yedit, really. Okay.
He's going to go eat, but he has no timetable on it.
Okay, we're going to talk about that later. It says you want to eat Rabbi Akiva. And if it follows Rabbi Akiva, it can't. Ha'ama, he says, Benegeya to the Yediyah Satuma, and he had the senior moment that's only Al Helam Tuma, only if he forgot that he was Tameh in the middle between the two Yediyahs. That's who Chai. That's when he's going to have to bring a Kab Oil of Yedit. The Ein Chai Al Helam Mikdash or B'Kadashah. But if his moment of forgetting was that he was in the Beis Hamikdash or he's eating kachim, he says, no, for that you're not going to be chayiv a Kab Oil of Yedit. So our Mishnah cannot follow him, because our Mishnah says two that are four that you're going to be chayiv a Kab Oil of Yedit. Says you want to eat by Yisrael, Rabbi Yishmael, eat by Yisrael, Rabbi Akiva. If you want, I can answer. The Mishnah follows Rabbi Yishmael, and I can answer it's Rabbi Akiva. Eat by Rabbi Yishmael. If you want, I can answer you. It goes according to Rabbi Yishmael. How? Mehen lechil, mehen leptur. He says shtayim, sheinaba, but they don't have to have the same din. Shtayim that is chayiv, and the other two that are like tuldas are going to be potter.
What do you have to say to Potter if you know it's only chayiv?
Because we say Rabbi Yishmael is not mechayiv for the past by Shmuel. So you say the two is chayiv, those that the
He
two
only
shvus.
holds only two are chayiv, so we know that the other two is Potter.
Yeah, but we have to say it that they're potter because they're tuldas. Sometimes the others and the tools are included in the others. He's telling you no. That's a different thing. Read by some Rabbi Akiva. If you want, you can say the same thing for Rabbi Akiva. That when he said the Yediyas, Tuma, what does he have to forget? That he was Tameh, but not that he was in the Beis Hamikdash. So say the Tuma, if he forgets the Tuma, man, those two cases where he forgets the Tuma, if it's Kachim or it's the Beis Hamikdash, that's Mehen L'chiv, that's where you Chayva Kamei L'Yedit. Mehen Liptur, and the two cases where he forgot it was the Beis Hamikdash, or he forgot what he was eating is Kachim, that'll be Potter. In fact, that's how you're going to learn. That the other two cases are Potter Liftei. That you're talking about Potter, Hadumi the Maris Negoyim Katani. We're learning similar to the case of Maris Negoyim. And Mahasan, just like by Maris Negoyim, all four Kula L'chiyuva, you're all chai, in all those cases you're going to be chai v'akam b'ayil v'yedit. Av hachanami, so too, b'negei shvuz bitui, or yidis atuma, Kula L'chiyuva has to be all four cases you're chayiv. We're back to square one? Yeah, we're back to the kasha. Zok the Yimad Alaylam Rabbi Yishmael. In truth, it follows Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael is not mechayev for the shvuos in the past. V'chi When did Rabbi Yishmael said you're not chayiv for the past? Then he gave to the carbon. If he swears b'shoigeg that he has to bring a carbon, he's not going to be chayiv a carbon. But Malchus, that if he was over and he swore falsely b'mezid, chayiv b'mechayiv, he is chayiv. Chayiv Malchus, like Rava, Dama Rava b'feidish, Dama Rava b'feidish, ripsa teira chayiv Malchus. The chiva malchus al shvur sheker on somebody who swears falsely. Dumya the shvur shav, just like shvur shav, but just like by shvur shav, what do they say? That it says lo yisisa as shem Hashem elakach lashav, ki lo yinak as Hashem es hashayisa shmei lashav, and the chacham dafka Hashem ein menaka es handishme b'shmei lashav, but bezdin malkin I say. Bezdin will give malchus if he swears lashav umzista shvur, but it says twice the lashon shav. It says lo yisisa es shem Hashem elakach lashav, and then it says lo yinak Hashem es hashayisa shmei lashav. One second. So shav. So he says. So from this that the Torah says a double lashon shav. So we dashin. What do we need the second shav? The first shav I understand to tell you that even though it's a lav shein by Maisa, right? Because he didn't do an action, he said he said something bedibur a shvur shav a mezista shvur. So, but why did he say a second shav? So he says if you can't use it to teach you any dinim in shvur shav, no inyan l'shvur sheker, then apply it to shvur sheker. Which one is a shvur sheker? Only on the past. You said I ate, and in fact we find out he didn't eat. He's a liar. Or he says I did. He says I didn't eat, and we find out in fact he did eat. That's called a shvur shav, and that's only in the past. L'lamdenu, it comes to teach us that even a shvur sheker he's going to get malchus. So that's what we learn out from the extra shav. No, because it's a lav shein by Maisa. He didn't do an action. So Ma'ashav, that the Torah was Machayiv Malchus, right? L'shav, shav doesn't make a difference. If he makes a shvur shav, whether it's the past or the future, it's a stam. He says, you know that, what's a shvur shav? He said, yeah, no purpose. Or you know it's not considered even a lie. He says that, you know that table in my house, and everybody knows the table, it's wood. He says, it's gold. So it's not something that's not called a lie. That he says the table that you saw in my house when that we ate Shabbos in my house, you saw that table. It looks like wood, but it's gold. Or my ceiling looks white. It was really red.
Why is it called a
Shav works both ways. So he says so too by sheker, av sheker nami l'shava, just like shvur shav. Okay, so he's come to teach you just like shvur shav, you're going to be chay malchus. So too for a shvur sheker, even though it's a lav shein by Maisa, from the extra word shav, we learn out that he's going to be chay malchus. Says shvur sheker is something that you can't verify. Something that you were there in the house, you saw it was a wooden table, and you say, you remember you ate with me in this one? I swear it was gold, he says. Or you saw my house, it's 4 feet by 4 feet. He says, my house is as big as Oik Melech HaBashan. You were just in the house, it was a matchbox. I mean, it doesn't mean, so that's not called a lie, it's called a fantasia. Sheker means that you can't verify it. He says, when like here, he says, I had eaten in the past. Nobody knows if he had eaten in the past. And then we find out facts, people watch them, and he didn't eat that day, whatever. That's called sheker. So you want to be shleima achalti and shloya achalti, even though there's no maisa, it's a lav shein by maisa. Kiderava, like Rava Dashan, the extra word shav, comes to tell you about the past, that's shvur sheker, that you're going to be chayiv malchus, even though it's a lav shein by maisa. But shloy oichal and the me'ochal, nami I understand, because he will be chayiv malchus, even if it's for the future, because it's a lav sheish by maisa. That's a lav sheish by maisa. Allah oichal, he says, I'm going to eat, v'loy ochal, and he didn't eat. That's already not a shvur sheker. It's just saying, I'm going to eat. You don't know if he's going to lie. And he didn't eat. And if he didn't eat, it's a lav shein by Maisa. Amai, why should he get Malchus on that fourth case? When he says, Shvua, I'm going to eat, and he didn't eat, that's a lav shein by Maisa. Why do you say he gets Malchus? And for the Gemara, for some of Rabbi Yishmael, lav shein by Maisa, look in the law. Rabbi Yishmael says, even though it's a lav shein by Maisa, he gets Malchus. If you're saying, our Mishnah was learned according to Rabbi Yishmael, right? And the Mishnah is a Stam Mishnah, and it's a lav shein by Maisa, it comes out, you're going to be Chai Malchus. So Rabbi Yochanan, you have a stira from Rabbi Yochanan on Rabbi Yochanan. The Omer Rabbi Yochanan, halach is Stam Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan said that halach is like a Stam Mishnah. Our Mishnah is a Stam Mishnah. It doesn't say anybody's name. We said, comes out like Rabbi Shmuel, who holds a lav shein by Maisa, loik in a love. So Rabbi Yochanan paskins like our Mishnah, the lav shein by Maisa, loik in a love. Here's a stira. V'itma we learned. In another place, he makes a shvur. I'm going to eat this loaf of bread today. The day went by and he didn't eat, so he doesn't get malchus. Rabbi Yochanan, we had this one in Malchus. Rabbi Yochanan both agree he doesn't get malchus, but for different reasons. Rabbi Yochanan Amar ein loika mishum dehava lav shein by Maisa. Rabbi Yochanan says he doesn't get malchus because it's a lav. He didn't eat, so that's a lav shein by Maisa. The whole lav shein by Maisa ain't like a lav. Why doesn't he get malchus? Ain't a like because asar safiki. It's asar safik. Asar safik loishma asar. What does that mean? Asar safik. Remember, he said he's. What did he say? What was the lashon that he's going to eat this loaf of bread? At that time when he warned him, there was still a lot of time that he was able to eat. Asros, that's called asar safik. Asar vade means that Toichidei Dibur, he was over on the Easter. Then he gets the Malchus. But then he gets the warning takes place. But if it's not Toichidei Dibur that he's being over from the Asra, so when he's over the Aveda, then it's not Asra. So he's not Chayiv Malchus. That's why Eshlaka says not Chayiv Malchus. But B'Peil Mamish, what did Rabbi Yochanan say from this Mishnah, which was a Stam Mishnah? What was the reason he gave that he's not going to be Chayiv Malchus? Because it's a Lav She'ein by Maisa. And a lav shein by Maisa ain't like a love. And he just passing like the Stam Mishnah, a lav shein by Maisa like a love. Says Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan Stam Achrin Hashkach, because Rabbi Yochanan later found another Stam Mishnah later on that says like now that a lav shein by Maisa ain't like a love. In fact, Gemara, hey Stam, which Stam Mishnah was that? Elam Hai Stam, this.
Somebody have two Stam Mishnahs, one goes this way.
One goes that way. Rabbi Yochanan goes always according to the Stam Mishnah. So we just had our Mishnah. Oh, usually go according to the later one, but we have a problem. We just said the Stam Mishnah we quoted that Allah Shem and Maisa like in Allah, and that's why he gets Shtaim Sheinava by the Achila. Even for the future, he says he swears he's going to eat, and he didn't eat. We said he gets Malchus because Allah Shem and Maisa like in Allah. Says the Gemara. So hey, Stam Mishnah, where's the Stam Mishnah that says ain't like in Allah? If you're going to say it's this Stam Mishnah, it's not. That we learned in a Mishnah, in a Carbon Pesach, it says, somebody who leaves over from the Carbon Pesach till the morning, says, even if it's a Carbon Pesach which is bitar, a Carbon Pesach which is tar, so he was over on the lab of lois, so you see them in you shouldn't leave it till the morning. And he left it till the morning. He's over on that. And so too, somebody who breaks the etzem of the Carbon Pesach, where it says you should add some light nishvei. So if it was a Carbon Pesach, that's Tomei. Ain't it like his Abayim? He doesn't get Malchus Abayim. Neither does he get Malchus for leaving over from the Carbon Pesach till the morning. So if you want a bishleim shayva Tomei, it makes sense if he broke the bone, which would of a Carbon Pesach that's Tomei, that he doesn't get Malchus. The Chsiv, it says ve'etzem le'sishberu bay. It says the bone you should not break in him. Which one? By the pasuk is referring to a Carbon Pesach, which is kosher. But here we're talking about that it was tamei. The loibe pasuk, not by a pasuk that's pasuk. So that's why he doesn't get malchus. But somebody who left over from the Carbon Pesach till the morning, my time, why is he not going to get malchus for that? Because it's a lav shein by Maisa. What did he do? He let it go. He didn't do a Maisa. He didn't eat it before the time. So it's a lav shein by Maisa. Chol lav shein by Maisa ain't like an love. So and any lav shein by ma'aseh, you don't get malchus. So do you want to say that's the Stam Mishnah? Says Gemara, that's not a good raya from that Stam Mishnah. Why? Umemai the Rabbi Yaakov. How do you know that Mishnah? The reason why by the Korban Pesach that he left it over till the morning, he doesn't get malchus is because it's a lav shein by ma'aseh, lav shein by ma'aseh, ain't like a love. How do you know we follow Rabbi Yaakov? Because the reason why he didn't get malchus because it's a lav shein by ma'aseh, which you don't get malchus. Do Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe it follows the shita of Rabbi Yehuda. Umishum de ba'hakasalit nasei achalois hasei. The whole reason why he's not getting malchus by the Korban Pesach because it's a lav shenitik lasei, like we learned in Malchus, a lav shenitik lasei. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you don't get malchus for, because it says there's a way you can fix it. It says if lois but hanoisa, what does it say? The seifu. It says the whatever. Ba'is the seifu. Hanoisa b'menu. Hanoisa b'menu adbeika. Ba'is the seifu. If you leave it over.
What he did? How's that a tikkun?
What?
He did?
You left it over, but then the Torah gives you a say. If you left it over, then burn it in the morning. That's the
He didn't
tikkun.
abate it that he left it over.
Yeah,
How
but
does
that
have a socket to abate it?
it does. That's what we said. That the Torah says if you burn it, that's fine.
That's a tikkun.
That's the tikkun. And any lav shanit laseh, you don't get malchus. Halav hachi. But if the Torah would have not given it a say after the lav, right? Lucky he would have gotten malchus. So maybe a lav shem ma'aseh, you do get malchus. Maybe from here is nishkenai. Maybe he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. And the Stam Mishnah, it's not a steer in Rabbi Yochanan. This Mishnah is a raya that you would get malchus. The only reason why you're not getting malchus is because it's a lav shen nitik laseh. But if it wouldn't be nitik laseh, you wouldn't get malchus. Where do we see that? That machlokes. The Tanya that we learned in the Brayso, it says lois hasin memanat beika. Va'anuis memanat beika beish the seifu. So bo hakosel lit naseh. Acha lois haseh. The Torah brought on haseh after lois haseh as a tikkun to the lois haseh. Like a shame, like a love to tell you don't get malchus. Did Rabbi Yehuda? Those are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yaakov, no, he's not blaming Hashem. That's not the reason why he's not getting malchus. The reason is El Mishum to have a lav shame by myself, a lav shame by myself, like a love. So that's the machlekes between Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Yehuda. So we can bring a raya from this Stam Mishnah, because this Stam Mishnah might be that a lav shame by myself do get malchus. Why didn't they get malchus for? Because it was a lav, shanit say like Rabbi Yehuda. But if it wouldn't be,
There's two reasons. Either because
yeah, but we don't have proof. He says, so don't bring this. But from here you can't bring a proof. A lav shein by ma'isa ain't like a lav. Like you can't prove it. Says you want a high stomach because it's nitik laseh, correct? Says you want a high stomach. Rather, it's from this Stam Mishnah that he learns it out. Shvur shaloi eichel kikazoi. He makes a shvur, I'm not going to eat this loaf of bread. And then he says a second shvur. Shvur shaloi echlano. After he made this one time the shvur, he does it again. He gives a second shvur. That I'm not going to eat it. And he eats the kicker. Two shvurs on the same topic, on the same loaf of bread. Says, Gemara in a chayv alachas.
One is specific and one is not specific.
Both same
No,
thing.
he said,
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat it. What is he saying?
Here he's saying that's not what he doesn't mean to say that one is close, one is not. He's saying two shvuos on the same thing. Ein a chayiv, he's not chayiv malchus and a korban el achas only because of one shvuah. That means on the first shvuah, because the second shvuah is not chal, because one shvuah is not chal of nacha shvuah, like we learned in the last painting. And since he already swore that he's not going to eat from this kikkor, so he already has a mitzvah to fulfill his shvuah. It's like mushba b'aimet, like we said, on mitzvahs that the Torah already said, and he has to be mekayim already that mitzvah. Says the Gemara, so the Mishnah says, Zohi, only this shvuah of when the shvuah that he said, I will, what was the shvuah? Shaloi yochel kikazu, and he ate the kikkor. That's where he brings. That's where we said that he's going to bring a chayiv one korban. But l'shvuis b'tish chayam mazdina makis, which zohi, meaning this shvur that we said, a shvur that I won't eat this kikkor, right, and I will eat it. That's the dugma shvuis b'tish that you chayam mazdina makis. So you go to come it. So what do we learn now? Zohi, the chayam mazdina makis. Only the case where he said a shvua that I'm not going to eat this bread, and what happened at the end? He ate it. That's what we say he's going to be chayiv. So that a bebezid will be chayiv malkis, and if it's b'sheigig, akam aluyara. Aval oichal. But what's if he swore I'm going to eat? V'lo yochal loylaki. He doesn't get malkis, obviously because it's a lav shein by ma'isa, and a lav shein by ma'isa ain't like a lav. So we have this is the Stam Mishnah that he wanted to bring a raya, and Rabbi Yochanan paskins like this Stam Mishnah. Wherever there's a Stam Mishnah, he paskins. And in our Mishnah, we said that he gets malchus for all 4 cases of achila for shvur. Is talking, he holds that's Stam Mishnah that lav shein by ma'isa like no love. Says Gemara Mechti Lama Kuktan high stama. You have 2 stamas that contradict. My chazid the Ovid to high stama. What did Rabbi Yochanan see to paskin like that you don't get?
What I asked you before?
Yes. Why? What did you? And I told you wait till then. That what made you conclude to paskin like the Mishnah that says on alav shein by ma'isa you don't get malchus? Lahavet kahai stam, do like the stam in our Mishnah and paskin that alav shein ma'isa doesn't get malchus. Uletaimech, and according to your svara that these 2 mishnayos are equal. Rabbi Gufay, Rabbi himself, who made the mishnayos, he was Masad of the mishnayos. Heichi sasam la hachi, hachi, hachi. How did he write 2 contradictory mishnahs? You being Masad of mishnayos, write what the psak is. Don't write 2 contradictory psakim. Elamei kora savalav shein by ma'isa loikin alav. Only our Mishnah in Shvur is the first Mishnah. That was the first Mishnah. So he thought alav shein by ma'isa he should get malchus. V'sasman he made it into a Stam Mishnah. V'hada, and after that he retracted. Saba loikin alav. Then he said alav shein Saba ain't loikin alav. And then he retracted and he said no, alav shein ma'isa ain't loikin alav. V'sasman, and then he made it into a Stam Mishnah. So why did he keep the first Mishnah? Because there's a cloud. Once you already established the first Mishnah and you made it into a Stam Mishnah, is Mishnah Lizasam im Kaima. Once you establish one Stam Mishnah and you made it into a Stam Mishnah, we don't move it from its place. But really, we go after the last Mishnah, which it tells us that Ein Loikin Alav, and Alav Shein Le'Maisa, you don't get Malchus.